Sad backstories are always a great thing for any character and for any movie because they make you care about them and connect with them on a whole different level that you didn't even know was possible. But sometimes they are so sad, so tragic that you even regret watching it in the first place because now you're permanently depressed about the things that happened to this made-up fictional character. Today we will be going over the saddest backstories in film history, the ones that make you bawl your eyes out with no control and that will make you start caring about these people way more than you probably should. I feel like Marlin from Finding Nemo is not talked about enough when it comes to having a really sad backstory because what happens to this man is actually so tragic. He and his wife Coral had just moved into a new house and they're both talking about their future with their kids, and as they are, a predator shows up completely out of nowhere and Coral then tries to save the eggs but ultimately is killed trying with all the eggs also being eaten. Marlin is the only one who survived the attack, but then you do find out that one egg made it out alive but just damaged, and of course that one is Nemo. This scene is very sad and it's not talked about enough when it comes to backstories that will cause permanent sadness. After all this happened, Marlin was never really the same again and he started getting really overprotective about everything, was making sure that Nemo was never really let out of his sight, and you can't really blame him because his entire family was eaten by a predator, so of course he's gonna be overprotective. Another sad Pixar backstory is Jessie from Toy Story 2, and while her story isn't the saddest thing you've ever heard, it's still enough to make a tear come down a grown man's face. Just like every single toy in these movies, they just want to be loved by their owners and played with, and Jessie had all of that stuff. Her owner Emily would play with her all the time, and she was living the dream, but as most girls do, she grew up out of all that stuff and she became interested in other things. Then randomly one day, Emily finds Jessie from under her bed, and then they both go into the car together, and Jessie thinks that she has it all. But then she finds out that the only reason that they did that was because Emily was going to sell her. This is a very sad scene for many reasons because Jessie is used to being played with all the time, but then all of a sudden she is suddenly not loved anymore, and then she thinks that everything has gone back to normal just to find out that she is being sold. Now this is a really sad scene and it's a great backstory, but the next one is so sad and so upsetting that you could call yourself the toughest person in the entire world and you would still start bursting out in tears. Our story with Carl starts when he is just a little boy and he wants to be an adventurer, just like his idol Charles Muntz. He then meets a little girl named Ellie and they quickly become best friends and they end up getting married, but when they try to have a baby together, they unfortunately can't and Ellie has a miscarriage. Even though they are both very sad about this, they both decided to focus on a different dream, and that's to explore the Paradise Falls, which is in South America, and they both start trying to save up money to make their dream come true, but they are constantly having to spend money on other things that suddenly keep on popping up. This ends up not working out, but as they both get older, Carl sees the painting they drew and that reminds him of their dream that they could never fulfill, and he decides that he wants to try to make their dream finally come true, but as he does, Ellie suddenly collapses and Carl takes her to the hospital, and unfortunately, right when they're about to make their lifelong dream come true, Ellie dies, leaving Carl alone. This scene is not only sad, but downright depressing because they have one dream and it can't be fulfilled, and so they try another dream they've had forever, but that one doesn't work out, and just when it looks like everything's about to go their way, Ellie dies, leaving everybody devastated. This stuff is dark for a kids movie, and it's kind of surprising that Pixar had the balls to put this stuff in their film, but it ended up working out in the end because this scene is pretty much the only reason this movie is as famous as it is.